नमस्कार। टेलीकॉन्फ्रेंस की एक और कड़ी लेकर मैं आपके समक्ष हाजिर हूँ। जैसे जैसे बच्चे बड़े होने लगते हैं, माता पिता के दिमाग में एक सवाल होता है कि कैसे इन्हें भविष्य के लिए तैयार किया जाए ताकि ये अपने पैरों पर खड़े हो सकें और अपने लिए कुछ कर सकें। उसी के हिसाब से बच्चों को ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है या किसी कोर्स में हम दाखिल करवाते हैं। लेकिन जब बात होती है विकलांग बच्चों की और ख़ास तौर से जब बहुविकलांग बच्चों की बात करते हैं, तो माता पिता के मन में, टीचर्स के मन में और समाज में जो लोग हैं उनके मन में एक शंका या सवाल रहता है कि क्या ये बच्चे कुछ कर पाएंगे, और यदि हाँ, अगर ये बच्चे कुछ कर पाएंगे तो कब, कहाँ और कैसे, किस जगह पर हम इन बच्चों को ले जा सकते हैं जहां इन्हें ट्रेनिंग दी जाए, किस तरह की ट्रेनिंग इन्हें दी जाए और परिवार की स्थिति क्या है या किस जगह पर वो परिवार रहता है, क्या उस तरह के वोकेशन वहाँ उपलब्ध हैं। ये बहुत सारे सवाल मन में होते हैं। इन सभी सवालों का जवाब देने के लिए आज हम आपके समक्ष उपस्थित हैं। आज का हमारा विषय है वोकेशनल रिहेबिलिटेशन ऑफ पर्सन्स विद मल्टीपल डिसेबिलिटी। इस विषय पर जानकारी देने के लिए आज हमारे साथ तो बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण विशेषज्ञ मौजूद हैं। मेरे साथ बैठी हैं मिसेस एनी श्याम। आप स्पैस्टिक सोसाइटी ऑफ तमिलनाडु में डायरेक्टर हैं। शी इज़ अ वेरी डायनामिक लेडी and she is working in this field for last 30 years in different capacities and in different parts of world. I welcome Mrs. Annie Sham to this teleconference. Our other expert is Shri R. Narsimham. He is a consultant in vocational rehabilitation. He has an experience of 38 years working with different categories of disabled for vocational rehabilitation, vocational counseling, training, and he retired as a joint director from Ministry of Labour, Government of India. He was while he was at Ministry of Labour, he was in charge of all the VRCs in the country. I welcome you, Mr. Narsimham. Before we start the program, I would like to share some information. This program is carried over in all over the country, so we will keep a mix of both the languages. In case you have any problem, you can ask your questions and our experts will try to answer your question. And one more news for our viewers: if you want that a particular topic should be discussed or we need to focus on that topic, you can write to us, send your suggestions, topic, and if you are willing to be a part of this expert team, we can think of that. So, you can write to us. Today, please note down our numbers. The toll free number is 1600112345. मैं नंबर फिर से दोहरा देती हूँ, 1600112345। STD नंबर है 01129532845. The another number is 295328845. We have one more number, that is 295363131. You can ask your questions through fax also. The fax number is 295363134. fax number एक बार फिर दोहरा देती हूँ, 295363134. Now I would request Mr. Narsimhan to tell our viewers what is the importance of vocational training for persons with multiple disabilities. Mr. Narsimhan.
Good morning, everybody. I am sure every one of us is aware that vocational rehabilitation is the most tangible aspect that covers the entire life of a person. Every one of us is concerned with training, hopes to get into a job and then progress and become a part of the society. it is no way different for the disabled either. So, that way vocational rehabilitation gives a person with disability a place in the society, a self concept, self image, and increases his acceptance in the society as a whole. This is the basic concept around vocational rehabilitation. I think I have answered your question.
Mrs. Anisham, how would we go about the job oriented training programs?
Okay, just to start with an introduction. Good morning everybody, all the viewers and everybody else who's out there. With the passage of the Persons with Disability Act, many organizations, many individuals are working for persons with disability towards this implementation. Article 23 item 4 deals very specifically with vocational training and the preparation for economic independence for persons with disability. Just as non-disabled persons seek employment, so also do persons with disability, and for very much the same reasons. They too want to live with dignity and self-confidence. They too have their dreams. But however, there are many obstacles that are faced in accessing vocational educational facilities. For example, one would be psychological, communication and information, attitudinal, architectural. So, if all of these are made accessible, can persons with vocational who require vocational rehabilitation access facilities that are out there. Our job oriented training program in Spaston, the program is very specifically for young adults with multiple disabilities, and here we ensure that a high standard of training is there, a high quality staff are there, employment of the trainees, and at the end of it the product should be of high quality.
Yeah. Thanks, Mrs. Shah. Now you tell us what are the different skill areas that are being developed under the course that you are running for vocational rehabilitation of persons with multiple disabilities?
Okay, we've Spaston's Able Art, the project is called Able Art, and it is a training center and a production unit, and it started in November 2001 with the aim of training young adults with multiple disabilities to be as independent as possible. Now, the areas that we had really focused on was food production, tailoring, computer application, which includes DTP, printing, that would be offset, screen printing, lamination, book binding, and office management. So, we have found that these areas are what is required in the market where we are. So, we have been doing the training in these places with skill areas, with courses for each of the skill areas. For example, a trade profile, that what it actually means is a set of competencies for each skill area, a syllabus, a curriculum to which the training is adhered to, part-time practical placement, on-the-job experience, and a real work environment. So, these are what is all brought together for the training program that we are offering our young adults with multiple disabilities.
And for offering these courses, what skills are required in the trainers? What is the skills and role of trainers?
What we have done is we actually advertised it in the paper. We interviewed them. So, these are people from outside, not in the disability sector per se. So, technical specialists in each of these areas were identified, and they were oriented to cross disability, because if one is going to be working with young people with multiple disabilities, the trainer needs to be knowledgeable on the various disabilities, and only then will they be able to train these young people. Then you maintain and ensure good quality training. and also adaptations of the tasks, teaching methods, practical and theoretical, have to be incorporated. Supervision is an ongoing thing. Supervision and support go together. Staff development programs also have been introduced into this program.
Thanks, Mrs. Shyam. Mr. Narasimhan, would you tell our viewers what is the scope of vocational rehabilitation?
Vocational rehabilitation is a vast area. We already have about 17 vocational rehabilitation centers all over the country. 3 more have been set up during this year. These vocational rehabilitation centers basically evaluate the residual abilities of persons with disabilities of all categories, including the multiple disabled, and after identifying their abilities, work out a skill development program for each person depending on his particular physical and mental abilities, and then train him to place him in a suitable employment, to help him to get into academic rehabilitation either through wage paid employment or through self employment, or through, if he is not able to get into a regular wage paid employment or self employment, we help him to go into other sheltered workshop or other supported employment services.
As Mr. Narasimhan and Mrs. Shyam told us that what are the features, what they train in their programs, and there are many NGOs in the country who are giving vocational training and in disabilities, but for multiple disabilities a few organizations are working, and our government has taken many initiatives. So, I would request Mr. Narasimhan to tell us what are the initiatives that has been taken by state government and central government for the vocational rehabilitation of persons with disabilities, and particularly persons with multiple disabilities. Mr. Narasimhan.
The services exclusively for multiple disabilities are not exactly available. Most of the NGOs have been doing a very good job in this particular area. They have been serving a particular disability group, and as such we really do not have any statistical information about the number of persons who are disabled or something like that. However, the National Sample Survey Organization has estimated that about 10% of the disabled population have multiple disabilities, mainly with cerebral palsy, with mental retardation, very few people with deafness and blindness, and other categories of disabilities. The scope for vocational rehabilitation as such is fairly good in the sense that once you identify the individual ability, we are able to train him into a particular work task and place him into a job or self employment. These facilities, as I said, is already available in most of the states. Almost all the state capitals there is a vocational rehabilitation center. In addition to this, of course, as you know, there is a 3% reservation. There are quite a few training institutions, almost 4,600 ITIs are there, with a intake capacity of about 6.7 lakhs. Even if you take that 3% of this is reserved for the disabled, that will come to more than 20 to 25,000 seats all over the country. Of course, you need certain evaluation of the abilities, as I said, that is the basic idea on which you function. So, once they are evaluated, they can be admitted to the various ITIs. If they are not educationally qualified, again they can be and they have been trained in these vocational rehabilitation centers.
Yeah. What else is available from the government side? like some trainings, services, like National Trust provides some services.
There are several services like the National Trust has formed local level committees in about 200 districts. Medical boards are there in more than about 400 districts in 22 states. Then the persons with disabilities are covered under the poverty alleviation programs, integrated education, primary education, national open schools, special schools. You have several of these things, and during the 10th plan there is a disability sub plan, wherein the proposal was to make about 5% of the budget earmarked to each ministry, because as you know, the disability sector is not the sole responsibility of single ministry, and it is a cross ministerial responsibility. So, almost every ministry has been asked to identify about 5% to be allocated to this disability group. Then modify workplaces. Then there is a national disability prevention program, as you already know. Sarvodaya Vidyalaya Sangathan is to be established, and about 1 million teachers are to be trained exclusively for handling persons with disabilities. The National Handicapped Finance Development Corporation is to set up a few sheltered workshops. Accreditation agencies are to be increased. The vocational rehabilitation centers will be set up in each and every state. Already, as I said, 17 states are covered, 3 have been added, and 7 are in the offing during the next financial year. Then there is a national program of vocational training in the rural areas. The vocational rehabilitation centers have also introduced several outreach programs and developed a few concepts of community based vocational training, where the NGOs are also involved, and specific training for a very short period of about 3 months is provided in the rural areas, depending on the local employment market conditions. So, you can approach the concerned vocational rehabilitation center, and they will be able to help everybody.
Yeah, thank you, sir. These, as you were telling our viewers about vocational rehabilitation centers. So, can you tell us in brief how these centers are functioning, because you were involved in all the country. So, our viewers will benefit from this. How when a person with disability comes to that, so what are the things that you look into a person or see what should be there?
The vocational rehabilitation centers register all categories of disabled, that is the persons with mental retardation whose IQ is between 50 to 70, 51 to 70, persons with locomotor disabilities where the disability is 40% above, persons with visual impairment where the eyesight is less than 6/60, the better eye, and hearing impaired where the hearing loss is more than 60 decibels. Once they are there is no restriction on educational attainment. Anybody who is illiterate or PhD or whatever education he has, he can approach the center. The only condition is that he should be between the of the employable age, say between 15 to 50. Of course, as I said, the assistance will commensurate with the education and the physical and mental abilities of the person. Once he is admitted, we evaluate them with the help of a psychologist, with the help of a rehabilitation officer. Then we have a workshop in which we evaluate their vocational abilities, ability to maintain himself, ability to withstand the strain of the job, and then we hold a we discuss among themselves and discuss with the client also, and help him to work out a rehabilitation plan, wherein probably we can give them physical restorative appliances, then help him in adjustment training, develop a proper work behavior, a behavior as required by an employer, give him sometimes skills as required by the employer, specific skills, then place him in jobs like an employment exchange. Anybody, any government department has to notify their vacancies to the vocational rehabilitation centers, and on the basis of their seniority they are sponsored against the vacancies. Not just that we sit there and sponsor the candidates, we take a proactive approach various industries in that concerned area, contact the employers, then develop rapport with them and help the persons with disabilities into getting these jobs.
Yes.
Otherwise, self-employment also opportunities are also provided through various financial schemes provided by the government and the nationalized banks.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Shyam, how would we improve the vocational rehabilitation of persons with disabilities? Can you share your example of Spastin, how we are doing that?
Okay. What we have done in Spastin, we've got an employment option, and these options, as Mr. Narasimham also has said it, I'll say it very specifically, that we do is self-employment is the first one. Second one is looking at employment that is available in the open market. And the third is employment in any specialized production workshop like a sheltered workshop. For all of this, what we have found is that the career management is important, and for that what we have seen is having the vocational counselor and the skilled trainer to form that important link for the program has been what has made the program more effective. And this management, career management, is done by providing guidance and support to the family. It is very, very important to include the family members and provide them that guidance and support, because sometimes what happens is if the trainee wants to do something, a particular skill area, but the family wants them to do something else that is different, then the training will not be effective. So from the beginning, this counseling and guidance and support need to go hand in hand, and for that a vocational counselor is necessary along with the trainer and the other staff, of course, but they form the major link. That is one, supporting the family. The other one is monitoring the trainee within the family unit. What I mean by that is looking at how this trainee is interacting and what is it that the trainee is taking back to the family, and that is also important. Advising them on a suitable career. That links with what I said earlier, is families want them to do something different from what they actually can do, where their abilities really are. So you need to match that together, advise them, counsel. This is a very important and integral part of a vocational training program, and of course employment rehabilitation.
So,
in addition, you see, there are, I would like to add a couple of things there. Basically, the problems of persons with multiple disabilities is compounded because of the addition of the disability. That is one. Another thing is their access to education is very poor for various reasons. I am not talking about awareness alone. Awareness is one aspect. Because of the access, they are not able to go to the point. So because of all these things, what we will have to do is, to some extent, to the extent possible, we will have to improve their academic skills of money management, their vocational skills, help them to develop some work habits, and identify certain specific operations which can be easily performed by a person with mental retardation and multiple disabilities.
I think what I'd like to add to that again are the features that one could include into this program is having a flexible, because of the multiple disabilities that an individual might have, the curriculum and the teaching is flexible, and the methods also are to be modified accordingly. Access we have spoken about, and which is very, very important for the rehabilitation and the educational and the vocational, and also for the job opportunities. Accessibility is important. We have said it earlier, and I think we need to stress on that as well. And addressing safety factors of the machinery, making it user friendly, because often many machines are used there in the open market, but are they conducive, are they disabled friendly? So we as rehabilitation professionals and staff need to examine these aspects of it to make sure that the machines that are being used are disabled friendly as well, because that is a very, very important aspect of it. Then the trainees being counselled, which I had mentioned earlier, individual lesson plans, because not all of the persons with disability or the young people with disability will be requiring the same sort of training. So it need to be individualized, and the opportunities for the trainees to decide on the trade and the job, and the skills are given in the areas that are in demand as well. So matching the person and the job is very important as well.
Yeah.
But it has been our basic experience that, and you may also agree with me, jobs as such available in the market, they are not made for the disabled. Only thing is, we rehabilitation workers have to focus on certain operations that could be performed in a particular job and train the people. It is focusing on a job as such will be difficult. We will not be able to achieve the success.
Yeah. Would you like to comment, sir? Or should we go further?
Yeah, what I would just make a small comment before we go further would be, I agree with you totally, really, because that is what we have we
have
doing,
to keep in mind,
you know?
as rehabilitation workers.
So because the jobs are there, but we need to have to train them according. That's why I spoke about the machines, the accessibility of the area wherever the work environment is, and employers. It is very, very important for the employers to know, because the employers have no idea on the disability. So sensitizing the employers, what we do is we orient them, we bring them to our center, they look at the young people working, and then they begin to understand that they need to make some very small modifications perhaps, and those can be incorporated, and we help them along the way. So these are things that need to go. We can't just train somebody and put them in a job, because it will not be successful and it will not sustain. So training them, sensitizing the employers, looking at their environment and making it disabled friendly as well as accessible for these young people with disabilities is something that we as rehabilitation personnel have to focus, and we have been doing that in Spaston, and I think it has been quite successful, all of the training programs so far, because if those who cannot cope with jobs in the open market or self-employment, then they will be more involved in a sheltered workshop. So these are the options. So the training is also catered accordingly.
Okay. Thanks, Mrs. Sham. Mr. Narasimhan, would you tell our viewers what are the suitable occupations available for persons with multiple disabilities?
This has been one of the most frequently asked questions. It's quite a, the answer is may look so simple. The point is, there is very limited scope for employment in the organized sector, and a vast scope in providing additional skills in the unorganized sector especially in the area of services sector and small, very tiny manufacturing sectors. The answer to that particular question is what type of job can be performed. My answer would be very simple. All jobs can be performed by a person with disability, and no job can be performed by a person with disability. I know some of my friends in the audience are angry with me because I said no job can be performed. You will come back to, you will understand when I say what I meant. Every job has several work tasks, and each work task has certain characteristics which has to be performed if a person has to completely perform a job. Like for example, a receptionist, he has to perform different jobs, including attending on to the telephone. Attending telephone is not the only thing. So, he has to have multiple abilities to work on all the tasks. Person with disabilities, especially those with multiple disabilities, have restriction, have several handicaps working on particular types of tasks. Therefore, if you say that a receptionist job can be performed by a person with disability, we are only eliminating those tasks which cannot be performed and identify the job which is suitable for a person despite disability. So, when you come to that, that is why so what we have to do, especially with person with multiple disabilities, is break down the entire job into smaller occupations, smaller operations, then further divide it into smaller work tasks, then find out or observe each work task, see what are the requirements. Then if once you have identified the requirements of that particular task, you will be able to train a person. And as you know, many of us who are having different skills or basic educational qualifications, we are not working on the entire field. For example, if there is a psychologist, he must have learned several skills during his post graduation, but he uses only certain of those skills in a particular job, in a particular occupation. Once it comes, if you accept that, then you will be able to understand what I mean, that by dividing into a particular tasks. I think she will also, Ms. Shyam will also agree with me. She has at some point identified those things. It is better to train a person on the tasks identified than to give him multiple skills, extraordinarily dilute different skills and dilute the training and give him several skills. Instead of that, give him particular skills which will also find him an alternative employment. I am not shutting down the alternative employment. I am saying that you give him a couple of skills, a few skills, where he will be able to perform the job. That way, as I said, jobs are not made for the disabled, jobs are not static. Now, if you talk of computers, a typist was a typist, today he is a computer operator, he has to have multiple skills. So, the job of a typist has changed, the jobs are not static, jobs go on changing. So, our training methodology, training skills also have to be changed according to the present employment market.
Yes. Mrs. Shyam, would you share some of your experiences while placing of persons with multiple disabilities, what you are doing and what are the occupations?
See, what I said earlier, what I can also say now is that in these 3-4 years that we have been operational with this Spaston Able Art concept, the job placements have been quite successful. And I think what really it depended on is what I meant, I need to reiterate it, is that counseling the parents. See, a lot of parents who come to organizations like ours or any NGOs, they have this institutionalization syndrome, I would call it. And we need to have to counsel them to get away from that.
Our government job.
Because when they go into a job, when their child goes into a job, it is not an institution anymore. They are out there just like anybody else, working in an open employment or self-employment, whatever the case might be. So the parents need to have to change that attitude of this institutionalization syndrome, and that doesn't just go away just like that. The counseling needs to go hand in hand with that. Another thing is ensuring realistic expectations in everyone concerned, whether it be the parents, the trainee, the trainer, the other staff of the organization. If the expectations are not realistic, then the job placement will not be sustainable. So those things have to be worked out right from the beginning. Counseling, again, I will say. So counseling is not just a one-off. Counseling is carried on throughout the training, and even after when they are in job placements, we continue to call them back, do counseling in various areas, talk to the employees. So all of these things, it's an ongoing program in the program. Creating the awareness, as I said, in potential employers, providing relevant information to the employers. Employer needs to know the abilities of these young people with disabilities who are coming there. What are their special needs? So we can't just place them, as I said earlier. I'm emphasizing this again, that employers need to know the abilities of these young adults and also what their special needs might be. And a pre-placement exercise, I must say that pre-placement exercises also have been very successful in their sustaining a job, creating a disabled-friendly environment, making the right, matching the right person to the right job. Looking at payment, that is an important aspect as well. Payment on par with other workers, not because they are disabled they need to get less money, but for the job that they are doing, on par with the other colleagues who are doing the same job. One needs to look at the payment as well, and to be treated equally among the colleagues. That comes with counseling. And I think then the door is open to employment.
Yes. Can we show some slides?
Yes. I think we'll look at some of the slides. This is a young lad who's already working in a open market job. Here he is again. And as you can see, his work environment has been modified for him because he's not able to use the regular machine, a sewing machine. So we have modified it with a low table that he sits down because that is where he's comfortable and he's able to operate from. This is the training in the food production unit. Training again at the food production unit. In fact, the few that I showed earlier have already got into jobs. This is our printing, offset printing, and they are being trained very specifically. The entire group cannot be trained on all of the skills. There are some areas in which some of them can be trained in, and
this is what exactly
others.
I was trying to emphasize also.
So that is
See,
a pictorial.
Can you go back to the
The
slide,
picture
please?
that we just saw.
Not that one, the other one, where
Next.
offset
Next.
printing. Offset
Next.
printing.
Next.
Yeah. See here, persons with multiple disabilities will be able to do certain operations. The printing, the color concepts, and job work and other things may have to be done by persons with cognitive abilities. Persons with mental retardation or persons with multiple disabilities will be able to do the job of feeding, removing papers, then collating. So, when I talk of job operations or job work tasks, this is what I mean by work tasks. If you can train these people Every training requires a constant and repeated sustaining training for a long time. What persons with cognitive abilities and normal intelligence will be able to learn in 3 months, the persons with multiple disabilities or persons with mental retardation may take a little more time. And as I said the other day, we trained a person with deaf blind. Person with deaf blindness, he has both communicative problems and also visual impairment. So, a person who is trained in dealing or communicating with a deaf blind person has to orient him, and then we trained him in say switchboard assemblies. That required about 3 to 6 months. Once he was trained, we were able to place him, and once he was oriented to the work area, oriented to the work spot and oriented to the other persons around him, the placement has been successful.
So, can we show some more pictures?
Yes. This is also the offset printing. As you can see, different trainees doing different aspects of the work, just as was mentioned earlier, because each one have their strengths and they can be trained in that particular aspect of it. This is office management, where this girl is being taught on using the telephone, answering calls, taking it down, giving the messages, and so that is also another job opportunity. In fact, she is working outside now. Screen printing is another area where a lot of our young people with the Down syndrome, mental retardation, this girl has also got problem with visual impairment, and they are able to learn these tasks of screen printing. But this is another aspect I'd like to talk about. I don't think I've mentioned earlier that we also have a special educator in this program who helps in these various concepts, like we talked about color concept, money concepts, shapes, as well as talking to them in groups. This is a small group of young ladies with disabilities who are having a group session where they will talk about their training program or any of the problems that they might have personally as well, and it becomes a discussion. So that helps their growth, their development, when they realize there are other people also having the same problems. So these group sessions have proved to be very useful.
Some more pictures.
Yeah, leisure. I think okay. This particular picture is a sheltered workshop. One of all our parents in Spaston are involved in self-help groups, and one of the groups have started their own sheltered workshop. So this is a scene from a sheltered workshop where they are employing some of our trainees.
This is probably one area where placement can be, economic rehabilitation can be generated.
An option, yes.
It's a very good option. There are a couple of reasons in that, especially because the area of jobs for the multiple disabled is very much confined because of the additional responsibility, additional disabilities. So the parents have to come into a picture and perhaps form into self-help groups and take up setting up a sheltered workshop. There is one more problem with these people also. There is inadequate legal protection. So, because of these reasons, I think this will be a very good option.
Because here what happens is the parents also are interested and they are there all the time with these young trainees, and that has proved to be useful. And also what has happened is other self-help groups are now looking at taking up the same option for helping those young people who are not able to get jobs in the open market or self-employment, for example.
In fact, we did have a good training program.
This young, this young man is actually working in a garment factory. So he's in a job in the open market. Similarly, I think the next one, no, the one before it, I think, before, yeah.
This is also
this
garment
is a garment
factory, yes.
factory. So there are some aspects of the training that they can do, some aspects of the job that they can be trained in and they can do.
No,
This young man is
especially
in
the
screen
export garment
printing.
factory, we have been able to identify about 25 to 30 operations, where you can give training in about 2 to 3 days, 2 to 3 weeks. And without compromising on the quality of production or quality of their quality or quantity of production, the persons with disabilities can be trained into many of those operations. So, we had a very
Yes.
good experience. We were able to place hundreds
Yes.
of people
Yes.
in this.
The other, can we look at more slides?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is screen printing, where this young man has also learned to do this on his own. This is a self-employment. The young man on the right, he has actually opened his own PCO as well as a computer room, a chat room or a computer room, and is running very, very successfully. It's the same thing, that's his PCO. Okay, these are all our young people, young adults from our Able Art Spaston program.
मिसेज़ एनी शाम ने और मिस्टर नरसिम्हन ने हमारे दर्शकों को बताया कि किस तरह से हम मल्टीपल डिसेबल लोगों के लिए वेकेशंस का चुनाव कर सकते हैं, क्या क्या परेशानियां हैं जो आती हैं जब इनके लिए हम चुनाव करते हैं वेकेशंस का, और किन किन बातों का हमें ध्यान रखना चाहिए। मिसेस शाम ने हमें ये भी बताया कि किस तरह से वो ट्रेनिंग देते हैं, किसी वोकेशन के लिए तैयार करते वक्त ट्रेनी को बताते हैं कि क्या क्या स्टेप्स हैं, हर स्टेप में उनको कुशल बनाते हैं और उसके बाद अगले स्टेप पर जाते हैं। और उनके बहुत सारे ट्रेनीज़ जो हैं वो अभी नौकरी भी कर रहे हैं, और इस तरह की जो बातें हैं उन बातों से हमें लगता है कि अभी वक्त नहीं है कि हम बैठ जाएं या ये सोचें कि नहीं ये डिसेबल लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं, ये बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं। अब हम जानते हैं मिस्टर नरसिम्हन से कि जब पर्सन्स विद मल्टीपल डिसेबल्ड को वो एम्प्लॉय करते हैं उस वक़्त उनको क्या क्या परेशानियां का सामना करना पड़ता है। What are the difficulties we face while placing the persons with multiple disabilities?
One of the basic problems I think I have already mentioned, that is lack of education, and majority of them, it has been our experience in the vocational rehabilitation centers that most of the people who are approaching either the VRCs or NGOs are from middle class or lower middle class, and also less educated or illiterate. Almost 50% of the people have an education of less than SSLC, and even those who have got some training do not possess the skills required for an employer. The employer sees something else. To say that recommendation from a government department will help, yes, it does help, but it does not make you employable. So, we have to identify those skills and develop some of those basic habits, what we call as adjustment training. We provide that also. During adjustment training, there are several methods we follow, basically about vocational counseling. Then we provide additional training to upgrade his skills. Like for example, somebody may know tailoring, and if he has to set up his own unit, he also has to learn a couple of more things, like a little public relations, a little costing, how much he has to charge. Then he has to learn cutting. We provide those skills. So, the training provided in the vocational rehabilitation centers are not like those provided in any regular training institute, where somebody is admitted during a particular month and then discharged at the end of 12 months or 10 months or whatever it is. The training is suited to the individual's requirements. This is how we do that. And as I was mentioning, we register approximately about 1,500 per annum per year at each center, and place about 500 to 600 people in gainful employment. Then sometimes we may have to change his work behavior to suit. Every person has to have a typical work personality to go to attend a job and retain the job, to acquire and retain the job. These two things are very important. If he has to have that, he has to have certain basic skills, basic things, basic personality things, such as, to give very simple examples, punctuality, regularity, proper dress, how to reach the place, how to make use of his leisure, how he has to talk with superiors, how he should talk with peers. These are all things that has to be developed. Some people come with that, some people have already acquired some of these skills, but as I said, majority of the people do not have these employable skills. So, we provide that also depending on the individual's requirements.
Yeah.
We will have to provide that, otherwise he will not be able to we will not be able to place it.
Mrs. Shyam, can you tell us in brief what is the process that you adopt while selecting a occupation?
Okay. What we have been doing is, a lot of our young people with multiple disabilities, they may have completed our pre-vocational or our vocational training programs, and also new recruits that might come from outside. So, they come to our Able Art department, where an assessment is done and orientation is given to them. Once we have selected them, then there is an orientation in all of the skill areas. Then from there we look at whether they need further guidance. Some might need further guidance and counseling. Some can go right away into the training program. And vocational counseling goes on hand in hand while all of this the training is happening. This is followed by on the job placements, on the job training program. Then you have job placements, which we have mentioned earlier. There are options of job placements, which includes jobs in the open market, as well as sheltered workshops, as well as self-employment. Then we also have our production unit, where they can be a part of that, where sales and marketing is also taking place, where these young people are a part of it. Follow-up services is being continued throughout, and the placements can be in corporate sector, it can be in government sector, it can be in shops outside as well. So, this is sort of a flow chart that we are following, and we keep streamlining each of these as we go along.
मिस्टर नरसिम्हन, हमारा समय समाप्त हो रहा है, लेकिन चलते चलते क्या आप हमें एक कोई सक्सेस स्टोरी इस तरह की बता सकते हैं जहां आपने वोकेशनल प्लेसमेंट किया हो, कोई केस स्टडी लेकर?
There have been quite a few successful cases. Like I was mentioning about a deaf-blind person whom we were able to train. Then there was another person with a mental retardation with a slight cerebral palsy. That's another. That person, we had to train him repeatedly on a radio assembly unit, and the point was that he would learn the whole skill from morning till evening, and then at the end of the day he is able to perform the task. But by the time he comes the next day, he has completely forgotten the whole thing. He has to be again trained. So, it took, you may say that it is a very small skill of assembling a particular component onto the printed circuit board, but for this person we had to give a repeated and sustained training for almost 6 months, and once we were able to train him, we were able to place him onto the assembly unit in an electronic assembly shop, he started getting the same salary that any other non-disabled person has been getting. This is one. Another thing is, as I said about deaf blind person, but one of the biggest problem is this type of institutions for deaf blind or multiple disabled. You have hardly one or two here and there, one in Bombay and another in Ahmedabad, and most of the other institutions who are working with cerebral palsy, they are working with persons with cerebral palsy with a disability of mental retardation. Very few people are working with mental retardation associated with other multiple disabilities. So, this is it's a very complicated placement work. So, the only way that we can rehabilitation worker can be successful is be imaginative or look out for opportunities, accept that each person has some ability which can be manipulated to help a person. Thank you.
थैंक यू मिस्टर नरसिम्हन। मिस्टर नरसिम्हन और मिसेस एनी श्याम ने हमारे दर्शकों को बहुत ही उपयोगी जानकारी दी और मुझे लग रहा है कि ये जानकारी उनके लिए इतनी ओवरवेलमिंग थी कि वो शायद अपने प्रश्न पूछना ही भूल गए, या उन्होंने इतने अच्छे ढंग से हमें बताया कि हमें ज़रूरत नहीं रही दर्शकों को कि वो कुछ सवाल पूछ सकें। फिर भी यदि आपकी इस बारे में कोई क्वेरी हो, आप कुछ और जानना चाहें, तो आप RCI में हमारे पते पर हमें लिख सकते हैं अपने सवाल, या फिर आप स्पैस्टिक सोसाइटी ऑफ तमिलनाडु में मिसेस एनी श्याम को लिख सकते हैं। एड्रेस आपको स्क्रीन पर दिखाई दे रहा है, एड्रेस नोट कर लें। द स्पैस्टिक सोसाइटी ऑफ तमिलनाडु, अपोजिट TTTI तारामणि रोड, चेन्नई 600113। द नंबर इज़ 2541133। The fax number is 2541041। हमारी अगली टेलीकॉन्फ्रेंस का विषय रहेगा वोकेशनल सर्विसेज अवेलेबल फॉर पर्सन्स विद लोकोमोटर इम्पेयरमेंट एंड सेरेब्रल पाल्सी। इस विषय पर जानकारी देने के लिए हमारे पास आदि एक्शन फॉर एबिलिटी डेवलपमेंट के एक्सपर्ट मौजूद रहेंगे। समय वही 11 बजे से 12 बजे तक रहेगा। आप इस प्रोग्राम में अवश्य भाग लें। अंत में मैं अपने दर्शकों को धन्यवाद देती हूँ जिन्होंने बहुत भाव विभोर होकर इस प्रोग्राम को सुना। हमारे आज के एक्सपर्ट्स बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मैं आपको देती हूँ। आप लोगों ने अपने इतने महत्वपूर्ण समय में से वक्त निकाला इस प्रोग्राम में भाग लेने के लिए। आप लोगों का धन्यवाद। EMPC और RCI के अपने सहयोगियों को धन्यवाद देती हूँ। At the end, I would suggest the parents, teachers and professionals that if you think that you can achieve something while dealing persons with multiple disability, if you think that you can win, you can win. Faith is necessary for victory. Have faith in the work and the potentials of the persons with multiple disabilities. Faith is the main thing. Thank you.